this was the beginning of recovery for these men, telling their stories around the fires here along the Great Ocean Road. Now, there'd be one guy, a young fella, standing there just outside the light of the campfire, never saying a word, you know, just listening to the other guys talk. They all knew he was there. They figured if he wanted to talk, he could when he wanted to. It's up to him. And no pressure there, you know. So they're just sitting around when all of a sudden one day, for no apparent reason, he finds the courage or the need or the whatever, he steps into the light of the fire and he starts to talk. Well, a few eyebrows raised, but nobody says anything. They're just keen to hear what he's got to say. And this young fella starts to tell his story of how he signed up with his younger brother, and his mother had been distraught, just totally sobbing into his shoulder as she was saying goodbye to them as they went off to the training camp, saying, "You've got to promise me you'll look after him. He's not as strong as you." You know, the younger brother, you know, only a young fella, but the older brother, his mother was begging him, "You've got to bring him back safe. You've got to bring him home. You've got to promise me you'll look after him." You know, and what else could he do but promise his mother a promise he never should have been asked to make, a promise he had no ability to keep, not in the rigours of war. Anyway, as his story went on, he told of how they were deployed at a place called Gallipoli on the Gallipoli Peninsula, a Turkish peninsula. At a place called the Neck, they had this battle, and there side by side they met the Turks. In huge numbers. The Turks had the high ground, and he was taken by, his younger brother was hit by a machine gun bullet. He dragged him back to the trench and tried to control the bleeding, but watched the lifeblood drain from this young fella and his life slip away, his younger brother. And from that time he hadn't been able to go home to face his family, hadn't been able to go home and look his mother in the eye, knowing that he'd broken his promise. Why hadn't it been him? You know, why had it had to be his younger brother? Why hadn't he been the one to catch the bullet, you know? And at about this point he starts to realise that tears are coming to his eyes and he's starting to choke up a little bit. He realises he shared a little bit more than he'd intended to. He'd gone in a bit deep, you know? And so in his embarrassment he quickly retreated into the shadows outside the light of the campfire.